I am Rolijan Pisado and welcome to this special edition of Dingle Mirror Express. For today's feature, the Dingle National High School SBM wins success story from 0 to 3 stars. Irene has the report.
Despite the pandemic situation, Dingle National High School continues to implement the Wash in Schools program.
Keeping healthy is everyone's concern. In fact, we have to be safe at all times, especially now in the time of pandemic where staying healthy and keeping alive is non-negotiable. And it should start with habits. But of course, DepEd is aware that we should be able to develop habits but by first putting up systems. That is why we have these SBM wins where DepEd is actually establishing systems so that we'll be able to turn them into practice and eventually forming habits. It starts with the system, putting up support mechanism, putting up all the necessary things that should be done so that when we continue to practice this, it will form into a habit. So you might wonder why we are establishing this hand washing facilities, we are putting up all these protocols, etc. Because we are preparing also our students for this when we go back to the face-to-face. But most importantly, that right here, right now, we are keeping our schools safe, especially the health of our teachers, our stakeholders, and the community.
The previous 0-star rating of the Dingle National High School School-Based Management Wash in Schools evaluation result did not discourage the DNHS family to take the SBM Wins challenge of making it to 3 stars or a promising school.
Up next, the WINS implementation, practices, and program management when Dingle News Express returns. And we are back. Agak will tell us more about how Dingle National High School gained 3 stars from 0. Agent?
Right you are, Rolly. I am here at the newly constructed wash area with the WINS coordinator, Miss Lalaine Ruga. Ma'am, can you give us your best practices which resulted to DNHS being a promising school for SBM WINS?
Yes, Agak. We have required students a hygiene kit as agreed by the parents during the General Parents Teachers Association meeting at the beginning of the school year. The hygiene kit is comprised of hand soap, toothbrush, and toothpaste that is stored in a plastic container with cover. We also make use of old papers as wrappers for use sanitary pad. Health education is enhanced through the MAPIC classes. Teachers assign students to make brochures and flyers for this specific topic.
Those were great practices, and I'm sure you also encountered challenges along the way. What are those?
Yes, we definitely encountered challenges. We have inconsistent group hand washing and toothbrushing activity. So what we have resolved to do is to schedule a daily hand washing and toothbrushing activity during the MAPIC class. One problem that arose as well was the lack of hand wash facility. We reached out to the PTA and they donated to have this constructed. The SSG, or the Supreme Student Government, assisted with the maintenance of this facility. Another issue we encountered is the funding of supplies. So what we did is to reach out and ask assistance from the stakeholders like PTA, LGU, and alumni. They donated supplies to the school.
So what came up with these challenges?
Innovations. Actually, I have already mentioned a while ago about the daily hand washing. This is to remind them of the proper hand washing and toothbrushing. And we have noticed that there is a dramatic change to the students' behavior, especially after lunch. They could be seen carrying their hygiene kits to the hand washing areas for toothbrushing and washing their faces. Since garbage disposal is a huge challenge, the school came up with the plastic kansya and the garbage ring innovation. The plastic kansya, which is shortened word for plastic, and alkansya is a globe that was constructed to hold the water bottles. Once full, these bottles will be sold to the junk shop. Proceeds of this is used for the school landmark constructions and augmented locking supplies.
Thank you, Ma'am Lalaine. Back to you, Rolly.
Right you are, Agent. Now Grace has more to say about the Dingle National High School WINS program management. Grace?
Dingle National High School School-Based Management Program, WASH in Schools, is headed by Dr. Eugenio L. Mallorca as the school head. Under him is the overall coordinator, Ms. Lalaine Ruga. Next to her are the following co-coordinators. For sanitation facilities, Jose Arnold Intoy. For hygiene program, Theophany Marie Osano. For health education, Reggie Paul Villasana. For water access, Aisa Marie Embajador. For deworming, Roseni Miranda. The executive members are the SSG officers as the planning and monitoring team. Under the resourcing or financing, the school budget or the MOOE is the main source of fund for the WINS program. Since the MOOE cannot suffice, the school reached out to stakeholders like the alumni, PTA, LGU to support for the lack of supplies.
In 2019, our school was rated 0-star. But in 2020, despite or in the midst of the pandemic, we had evaluated our school with 3 stars. Why? It is because we were able to understand the concepts required to becoming a 3-star school under the SBM wins, of course. We have to understand what it takes, what it should include, and what practices should be done. So I started with involvement of all the internal stakeholders. When you say internal stakeholders, we're talking about the PTA, the club organizations, the teachers, and all those that comprise the internal stakeholders. I made them realize that the goal of this program, and I made them realize that they should include this particular program in everything that they do in school, whether it will be a project or whatever. It should be aligned to the goals of SBM wins. That is perhaps the reason why we were able to put up things. In the midst of the pandemic, we were able to put up the new wash area at the gate entrance, hands-free hand wash facility donated by the PTA. We were able to put up IEC materials through the SSG, and all the activities, all the other activities that you can find in the school right now is basically spearheaded by our student organizations and of course our teachers. So it starts with understanding. It starts with basic knowledge of what it takes to become a 3-star school. That is why I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our stakeholders, our PTA officers, board of directors, our SSG officers, of course, ang amon nga PTA headed by Sir Danny Luwable, and our SSG officers headed by the Ralph Osano. I would like also to thank our Alumni Association headed by Mr. Daguhoy. Thank you so much, our Teachers and Employees Association officers, and all the stakeholders, from our municipal mayor down to all the barangay officials. Thank you so much for taking part of this endeavor to keeping our school healthy and becoming a wins school.
Sustainability still remains a challenge for Dingle National High School, but the school is hopeful that they will come up with programs to overcome the challenge. Rolly?
Thank you, Grace. And that is all for today's feature. See you again next time as we bring you the latest education updates only here in Dingle Mirror Express.
Na tubig, kailangan ng ating paligid. Malinis na lipunan, nakasalalay kalusugan.
Ang batang may kalinisan, sa mikrobyo ay may laban.
Ikaw ako, lahat tayo, maghugas ng kamay sa sakit ay lumaya. Ikaw ako, lahat tayo. Wow, wow, ugaliin natin to. Kaalaman, linangin, at wag na wag limutin. Ipaalam, iparating sa lahat ang dapat na gawin.
Ang DepEd ay laging nariyan, tinitiyak ating kapakanan.
Ikaw ako, lahat tayo, maghugas ng kamay sa sakit ay lumaya. Ikaw ako, lahat tayo. Wow, wow, ugaliin natin
Maghugas
to.
ng kamay, ugaliin. Halina sumabay, huwag madaliin. Una, mga kamay dapat basain. Pagkatapos ay pwede nang sabunin. kuskusin ng paikot-ikot. 20 segundo dapat ang paghagod bago banawan ng malinis na water at papatuyuin gamit ng paper towel. Huwag kalimutang isara ang gripo. Ganong kadali hugasan ng kamay mo. Say goodbye to germs and viruses. Sa wins kami, laging winner!
Ikaw ako, lahat tayo. Maghugas ng kamay sa sakit ay lumayo. Ikaw ako, lahat tayo.